What is up, everyone? Welcome once again to my channel, and today let's get ourselves for some COR Racing League as we are getting ready for the sixth round. Sorry, not the sixth round, the fourth round of the championship with the Austrian Grand Prix. So, with further ado, let's get ourselves going for the start of our track introduction, shall we? So today we are at Spielberg, home to a circuit that in one form or another has held every Austrian round of the F1 calendar except for the very first one back in 1964. This is one of the shortest laps of the calendar. This 4.3 kilometer 10 lap layout has one of the highest average speeds of the season, as the bumpiness of the tracks and the big braking zones do not stop the drivers from achieving the fastest laps of the year. Speaking of braking zones, the best overtaking spots on this track are about the turns 1, 3 and 4, or the biggest braking zones on this track, which of course always promises a close racing and promotes those good old dive bombs as the drivers try to be the last of the light breakers in an effort to get to the front. In terms of our tires for today, we have the ultra softs, super softs and softs, as you guys can see. And for the last season's race, Sloppy McFloppy went from pole to take the win. Of course, in the COR, we don't really have a big history of having the pole sitter converting into a win in this championship. I am one of the contributors to that placement myself, as I bottled it in season 1, I believe. I bottled it from pole, finished below top 5. But well, that's water's past. Now let's get ourselves in the lobby and let's get ourselves ready for the introduction of the standings. Now, taking a look at the results after Canada, it is Recycle Finn with the championship lead with 52 points despite retiring at Canada. Swiffer in P2 in the best of the Alfa Romeos with 46 points to his name. Then you have Calipos in P3 with 41. Following that, we have Vane in 4th with 37, followed by the only reserve of this championship, Marcel Leboeuf, with 30 points. Then you have El Nabo in 6th for McLaren with 33 points, 4 more than Sloppy McFloppy, the championship winner, not the championship winner, but the defending champion, got himself in 7th place after the very first race of the championship, as we have Fungus in 8th. Then we have Koshia in 9th and Leclerc closes the top 10. Moving to the constructors, we have Sauber as the championship leaders with 79 points, followed by Ferrari. Then we have Toro Rosso with 56, Renault in 4th with 54. Then you have a big gap to McLaren, who sits in 5th with 37, as Haas are in 6th with 23 points, 2 points more than the Mercedes team, as Williams following 8th with 12, Force India in 9th with 8, and Red Bull without any points scored so far in this championship. Now, let's get ourselves this out of the way and let's get ourselves into the proper lobby. By the way, hello to everyone in chat, how are you guys doing? And I'm going to get myself my information available to me, just managing some of my windows. And now we can finally get ourselves going. So, let's take a look at Koshia, for example, as I'm going to just get myself the fastest lap. I want the tires fitted and I want the lap data enabled. So as you guys can see, Koshia, he didn't get the best result ever at Canada. He finished 4th place, which wasn't all that bad, but there was the possibility for him to win. Unfortunately, he didn't materialize, so hopefully he's going to improve today. He's currently on the softs, which means he's going to try to start on the softs, jumping to the ultra softs. But let's follow the Lithuanian to a flying lap. Turn 1 approaches very quickly. We have to be very clean in the entry and the exit to avoid getting a nullification of the lap. Now up through the gears through the left-hand kink of turn 2. Now 100 meters away from the corner, you go hard on the brakes, drop down through the gears to gear number 2. Some prefer gear number 1, and away it goes. DRS wide open up through the gears as it is all the way downhill from this point of the circuit onwards into turn number 4. 100 meters once again is your friend. Egg the apex like your favorite grandmother and clean on the exit. You don't want to touch the curbs into the blind left-hander of turns number 6 and 7. Then 8 approaches as the car naturally understeers into the right side of the track. Now we are going to get through one of the most tricky corners of the circuit. You don't want to get too wide through the penultimate and ultimate corners. It goes through the gears once again, opens DRS and crosses over the line to get himself no lap time. Unfortunately, looks like he got it invalidated. Hey Jamie, welcome to the live stream. I can see in chat, it says, my stream says round 3 Canadian Grand Prix, which is a bottle job from me. I really thought that I had changed the title. Maybe it just did not save, unfortunately, but there's nothing I can do at the moment about that one, unfortunately. So, yeah, we're just getting, by the way, I clicked in another window by accident, so come on menu, get out of my face, thank you. I just got a message from Steam, let me just read. It was regarding the weather, so let's take a look at that. Quali is going to be dry, but might rain at the end of the race. So definitely we have the weather that can spice things up. But yeah, honestly, I don't know why I have the wrong title. I changed it. It probably did not save for some reason, which is unfortunate. But well, that's how it goes. Kosha is in the pits. Let's move to someone else. Let's get ourselves to Vane, the winner of the Canadian Grand Prix. He went on a one-stop while everyone else went on a two-stopper at least. And yeah, he showed why the one-stop around Canada is the most beneficial strategy, despite the speed of Sloppy McFloppy and Kosha. He couldn't really materialize. They couldn't really catch Vane. They couldn't make up the fact that they were one pit stop down. So unfortunately, that's how it goes. Unfortunately for them. Fortunately for Vane, as he claims the first win of the season for him. Looking down the order, yes, we do have recycle, but he's in the pits currently. There are a few people who haven't posted any flying laps at the moment, as I'm guessing Kosha is going to get himself out there anytime soon. Vane had already completed his flying lap, so looks like I'm a bit uncoordinated with these guys. Weasley is coming out of the pits. He's on his out lap at the moment. By the way, the title still says Canadian Grand Prix. I know, I swear to God I changed it. It probably didn't save or something, which is a bit of a bottle job, but I can't change it now unless I stop the stream and start it later, and I can't do that. So yeah, unfortunately it was a bit of a bottle job, but I probably didn't press the button to save the changes. But yeah, hopefully you guys can still enjoy this session. Maybe just share the live stream around to let people know that first, that I committed a bottle job, and secondly, that this is actually a new race that you are watching right now. Now, moving to the Williams driver, taking a look at his history. He finished 9th in Australia, 11th in Spain, and 8th in Canada. So he got points, he got in the top 10 for 2 out of the last 3 races, which is respectable, but from my memory, he's also had his fair bit of bad luck and inconsistency, not only through the penalties coming from the exploration, the unallowed exploration of track limits, but also getting incidents of his own. He's been able to recover and still claim top 10 spots, but if he kept his nose clean, that would definitely be an improvement on his form as he's getting through the corners 7 and 8 combination. He's about to go downhill through turn number 9. Sloppy McFloppy gets the new fastest lap so far, and Weasley is going to cross over the line, and it is going to be a 1.4.7, which gets him in P7 with the Red Wall Super Soft tires, so not too bad at all from the German driver. Hopefully he can improve on that, unless he wants to start the race on super softs. I believe he can still pick another set of super softs and try once again. So let's see how that goes. We have Swiffer, the man who had a massive battle last time out. Unfortunately, he couldn't better 5th place. It was in fact the only place, the only time he finished outside of the podium in this season. He got 3rd in Australia, he got 2nd at Spain with a very good performance. So it was a bit of a drop at Canada, only top 5 for him, and I say only regarding his form, right? But yeah, hopefully he's going to improve on that, as we're going to follow him on board as he starts his flying lap. There you go. So a good exit from the last corner, open the RS up through the gears as we wait for the 100-meter marker board at the left-hand side, as he goes very, very slowly. I don't know if he got some kind of... I don't know if he just doesn't want to get a flying lap with those tires, or if he just got this next lap invalidated thing, which was a bit weird, but okay. So that's unfortunate. But, well, I guess we are not going to get the flying lap from him. Grosjean is also on his lap. Magnets already completed his lap. He's currently P12. A bunch of people still in the pits without any laps done so far. So let's get to Vane again. I believe he's on his out lap, I would say, yes. Looking at the steering wheel, is using 0 ERS, so I'm guessing he is, in fact, preparing himself for a flying lap. So let's see if he can improve. At the moment, it would be nice for him to beat the guys who posted their lap times on the super softs. So, Recycle Fin, look at that, look at how close it is between that top two. It's 0.004 of a second separating those two, and why can I not get a flying lap from these guys in this race, in this qualifying session? This is quite interesting. Let's take a look at the Mercedes of GC Fungus. He finished 6th in Australia, 6th in Spain, did not start at Canada, so let's see if he can get a 6th place once again. Hopefully he wants to crack the top 5 for the first time this season, but let's see how it goes. He's going to get himself through corner number 3, getting very smooth on the power at the exit. Open DRS, now is going to be downhill from here onwards, as we look once again for the 100-meter marker. It's basically your best friend around this circuit. Take a look to not use too much curb on the exit, as that can unsettle your car. Now it's a bit of a vague braking zone and turning point into corner number 6, as we now get through 7 and 8. You can explore a bit of the curb on the inside as the car naturally understeers towards the right and curb, and then back out through the exit on the left hand side. Now once again, just 45 meters away from turn 9, he goes on the brakes and nullifies his own lap. Maybe he explored the track limits a bit too much and decided to abort the lap, but he's in the pits, currently P3. Let's see how that goes for him. Let's follow with our challenger for the title, the defending world champion, Sloppy McFloppy. He did his season debut last time around at Canada. He did not start at both Australia and Spain. Fortunately for him, it wasn't the greatest race for the championship leader, Recycle Fin, as he retired with a crash in the opening lap at the Canadian Grand Prix. So he was able to catch up to the pack a bit, but he also couldn't materialize his talents on a win. He couldn't better 2nd place at the Canadian grounds, so he summed up only 18 points, I believe, 19 points to his championship instead of 26, but what you gonna do? Hopefully he can improve on that. Let's see. It's going to be an interesting race to see who is going to come out of top from Recycle Fin and Sloppy McFloppy. It's going to be an interesting battle, to say the least, as going through the exit of turn number 8. Let's see how it goes now through 9 and 10. Hopefully it doesn't go too wide. He throws the car in very nicely. It could have been maybe a bit more aggressive into this last corner, but it's going to cross over the line, and it's going to be a 1.8.2, which was that his was that his preparation? I guess that was his preparation lap, his warming up lap. And now it is where he's going to go in anger as he tries to take the Sauber number 99 to the top of the pecking order. Let's see how it goes. It was a good first sector, Let's see how it goes now on the approach into turn number 4. Once again, it's always a tricky braking zone, especially if it rains, and we all know how inconsistent the weather in this region can be. According to the weather forecasts, it's not going to rain in the qualifying, but there is a possibility of rain towards the end of the race, and I'm kind of praying that it rains, because it would spice up things, it would make for a more interesting race. So let's take a look at the American driver as he's about to complete his lap, and he's going to cross over the line, and it is going to be a 3.856 as he gets himself the top spot. Today, Recycle Finn, we are going to jump to him. Let's see how he responds. I believe he made his lap, his first sector. Was he? Let me try to take a look. I believe he's just... Yeah, I believe he had a very bad first sector, so he's just conserving ERS at the moment. Let's see if Vane is on a flying lap of his own. Hopefully Finn doesn't go into the pits, because I would like to see him go on a flying lap. But let's see if I can finally see Vane complete a flying lap. He's currently in 4th. Let's see, he's going to the pits. The camera is not helping at the moment. Come on. Can I go back? Okay, thank you very much. And it seems like he's going to the pits. So every time I go to Vane, he goes to the pits. Recycle Finn also went into the pits. So that wasn't his warming up lap. That it just didn't improve and went back to the pits. So it goes. Just under 3 minutes remaining in this session. Let's take a look. There's still Skirl and Marcel Leboeuf. Marcel Leboeuf, who was our reserve driver at the first 3 races of the championship, and I swear this man has, I don't know if he has the worst luck ever or the best luck ever, because I'm honestly on the fence about that, because the man got himself a disconnection in the first 5 laps of the race in all 3 races of this season so far, but he disconnected once in Australia, got 7th, disconnected once in Spain, got 7th, disconnected twice at Canada, and he gets a podium finish in 3rd place. So I would guess if he disconnects 3 times, he probably gets a good chance of winning a race, which is going to be very interesting to see. I don't know why he hasn't posted a lap time at so far. Maybe he just wants to stay at the back and not be involved in any antics into turn 1 in the opening lap, trying to pick up any pieces from the misfortune of others. Skull is in the same situation at the moment, and we are following Kosh as he's on his number 13, the Lithuanian, just trying to warm up his tires, get everything ready so they can go for an angry lap towards the end of the session. You guys can see also Recycle Finn, Calipos, Vane are also on their outlap, Bottas, Taxi, Tundra, Magnet. So it's basically 6 cars on their outlaps, a couple more while already doing their flying laps, as we are going to get to Koshia. Let's see if he improves. He went, was that a bit too wide maybe? He's going at it. Oh my god, I'm not jumping on board with him because he's glitched on his revs. He's always at maximum revs no matter what gear he's on, and that's a quite irritating noise, so I'm going to get him as one of the McLarens gets out of his way. Of course, you don't want to get in the way of someone that's going out on a flying lap. That's how it goes now through turns number 4, I believe this one is. Yes, it is number 4. Looks stable on the exit. Looks he can push his car. Let's see now. This is always a tricky corner. It looks like he went a bit wider than what he would have liked. And now into turns 7 and 8. Very nicely, very composed, the Ferrari. That's a cool shot from the cameras. We are going to dive into the last 2 corners. And let's see. It looks like he didn't export too much of the track limits there. He's going to cross the line. And it's pole position. Of course, it's only virtual pole position, but 1.3.6 from Kosher. That's an amazing lap. A Sloppy McFloppy completes his laps without improving, so he's not going to get pole position today, the American. We have Recycle Finn coming to finish his lap, and he's going to get himself on the wall. Recycle Finn just trying to push too much, lost the rear on the curbs and put it in the wall. We are going to jump to Calipos, who's up next in the 88 and he bottled his lap and is jumping into the pits. Vane crossed the line in 5th, Weasley in 6th. Let's take a look at Swiffer. Is he going to get himself in the top 5 once again? Let's take a look at that as he's currently on the 3rd sector. Let's jump to Fungus just to see where he is. Okay, he's just behind Swiffer. So it looks like everyone else is either on the pits or finished their laps. So it's all about Swiffer and Fungus. Let's see if they can gain any position. Swiffer is getting into the pits. Fungus is about to get in through the last corner. As you can see, some debris and he's in the wall. What happened there? Was he not improving? Did he decide to abort his lap in some explosive fashion? That was quite bizarre, but that's what happened. Or maybe he just decided to DNF by doing that, which, okay. Yeah, he tried to retire. Is that allowed? I don't know. Back in the day, if you crashed out, you wouldn't have those tires available for the race. So if you qualified in the top 10, but you crashed, you wouldn't have those tires available, I don't think. So you would always have brand new tires. I don't know if that's allowed. That's one for the stewards to decide. I don't know if that still happens in the game. Even if you crash, you still start on the tires you qualified on. I don't know if that's the case, but that might be one for the stewards to look at. So we're going to jump to the official standings. So you have Grosjean 2 tenths away from Sloppy McFloppy Recycle Fane with his crash at the end of the lap. Couldn't better P3. Escalipos is in P4, Vane P5, Weasley in P6. As we have Swiffer in P7, Fungus in 8, Alabama in 9th, and Elton in the 2nd best Mercedes, completing the top 10. Then you have Bottas, Taxi Tundra, Magnet Skull, and Marcel above as the bottom 2 didn't post any times so far. So that's how it goes. By the way, I can see in chat LGS says that Leclerc in real life crashed and he got new tires. Yes, but that's because in real life you can't recover the tires. In terms of the game, you could recover the tires, right? It's just data. You could get the tires back, you know what I mean? Yeah, like in terms of the game, as long as you didn't puncture, you can always get the tires, you know? You just broken the suspension, for all I know. But yeah, it's going to be interesting to see if that's allowed or not by the rules. Because yeah, I remember back in F1 2016 that being kind of an exploit. Like you just crashed and you could start on brand new tires. So of course that got included into the bunch of stuff that you cannot do in a race weekend, at least in this league. Let's see. I don't know if it was fixed or what happens under those circumstances now in this current game. So yeah, we're going to wait and see again from the stewards if that's the case for them to analyze or not. Now, just waiting for everyone to get through their starting and their loading procedures as we finally have the lights go green for our formation lap. In the meantime, I'm going to get myself the details. I want the tires at the moment and I don't want anything else, I don't believe. No, I don't really need the lap data. So that's how it goes. We're going to take a look at, let's take a look, someone who could be an interesting side. We don't have El Nabouir today, so the McLarens are going to be represented by Alabama, who got 5th with an amazing display of tire management at Australia. He then got down to P9 at Spain. I believe he got involved in some incidents, and he did not start at Canada, so hopefully Alabama, starting 9th here today, could kickstart his form back up again with a good performance here today. That would be interesting to see. Elton is currently slotting in P10, but he hasn't finished in the top 10 through the entire season. So let's see how that goes for him. If he could maintain that P10, it would be good for him. It would be a sign of improvement in form. Hey Noidorate, welcome to the live stream. How are you doing? So yeah, LGS, by the way, yeah, some real life F1 news. Daniel Ricciardo got a 3-place grid penalty at Spain for reversing into Kvyat. I believe it's deserved. Of course, that probably was not on purpose, but just because you didn't do on purpose doesn't mean that you did not infringe the rules. So I would guess that was an unfortunate incident, but yeah, the 3-place penalty, I believe, is deserved. As everyone back into this track action here at Virtual Spielberg, everyone is going to line up. We have a good look at the starting grid. Finally, the camera is helping me. We only have, unfortunately, 15 cars today, instead of the normal 20, but that's how it goes. Everyone's going to get ready now, as we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 red lights. Lights out, and away we go for the Austrian Grand Prix. Recycle Fin doesn't get the greatest start. Vane and Calipos get the jump of him. Kosha gets a good start. Stopping the flop is going to slot behind him as there's contact between the Toro Rosso and the Ferrari. Kosha gets a bad exit out of turn 1. Stopping the flop, he gets to the front as Recycle Fin can conserve his pit. Is going to pressurize Kosha into turn 2. Let's see how it goes. Was the last of the late breakers. I can see Calipos going on the inside of Vane and getting himself in before. There's a 3-wide moment between Swiffer, Vane, no, it's Swiffer, Fungus and Weasley as they got a bit of wheel banging as they were almost 3 wide through turn number 3, and now we come to corner number 4. The camera angle is not really helping me. We are going to get to Weasley as Fungus tries to get the inside of Swiffer. Let's see who gets the best of the exit out of those two, as the camera once again is not really helping me, and I believe Fungus is going to have to stay put for 7th place as Weasley tries to take a look around the outside but can't materialize anything on that. Marcel Buff starting on the super soft side. I know there was someone who was off. I'm going to bet it was Alabama Man. I saw some fireworks, so to speak, at the exit of turn 4, and I can see Alabama is already 2 seconds behind last place, so unfortunately for him, looks like he got himself the shortest end of the stick in that exchange. Jumping back to the front, we have Sloppy Mafloppy led by, leading Recycle Fin as Kosh is in P3, Calipos jumped to P4, Vane in P5. They got a good start, Calipos and Vane, but they couldn't jump Recycle Fin, and then Kosh dropped to P3. So unfortunately, this is going to be the battle I have been waiting for. The championship leader against the defending champion, going at it to see who can take either the extension of the championship lead or in case of the American, if he can close the championship gap to the leader. That would be interesting to see in the laps to come, as we have another battle between Weasley and Fungus, the German and the British driver. They are going at it. Oh, the Williams got a bit wide there. He already lost a couple of seconds to Swiffer, so Weasley is now the one leading this train, sort of, if you could call it that. It's going to be interesting to see how that develops, especially as people are going to be able to deploy DRS in the laps to come, as we are about to start lap number 3. We're stopping Mafloppy going at it once again with the new fastest lap of the race. He's really pushing to try to pull away from Recycle Fin. Of course, if he cannot, he's going to have to battle him through the entire race, as the pair is already at least a second away from Kosha. A couple people going wide through the first corner. That's going to be also very interesting to see how that one develops, as we have yellow flags in sector 1, and it is Taxi Tundra. The Williams was out. It looks like he has wing damage. Maybe he lost the rear at the exit of turn 1 and went into the inside wall. He's missing quite a few amount of vent plates on the right side of his wing, which is unfortunate, but he's going to have to go to the pits for a replacement of that. Going to jump to Vane, as he's very, very close to Calipos. We're actually going to jump on board with the Turkish, as he's following the Dutch driver of the Ferrari. At the moment, of course, everyone is benefiting from DRS from everybody else, but Vane's slipstream is going to be stronger on Calipos than the one Calipos has from Kosha. Looks like we have a go from Recycle Fin. No, it was just Recycle Fin taking a look at the inside of Sloppy, mostly just to break slipstream, I would say, but not this time around. He gets DRS into turn number 3, is going down late on the brakes, down the inside, and he makes himself wide to get himself a pass to first place. So Sloppy McFloppy, is he going to respond? I believe he has DRS now, trying to come back. No, the straight isn't long enough, as we have another incident through sector 1. I'm sorry, as it looks like Bottas went off. Alabama, he was in last place a couple laps ago. He's already recovered to P11. He could get the top 10 if someone else makes mistakes, as we have a battle between Vane and Swiffer. I believe Vane made a mistake. Swiffer just said thank you very much, and he gets himself in the top 5. Vane, who was challenging Calipos in the previous lap, now finds himself in 6th place. Not the greatest start of a race for the winner last time around. Marcel Leboeuf is going side by side with someone, that is CJ Fungus, I believe. That's going to not be much space through that corner, but Marcel Leboeuf kept it within the track limits and is going to get past on the softs, past the Mercedes and up to P8. So a good start from the Renault. Looks like both Renault drivers are in mixed fortunes, as of course that wasn't really much benefit to battling through there, as GC Fungus just going to get the RS and blast pass. Oh my god, that was a bit aggressive, that good old dive bomb, and there's contact, and I got a bit of a lag moment, but I'm pretty sure Fungus, no, they didn't get in the wall. I don't think they got in the wall, but that was just lag for me. But yeah, they lost time. There was definitely contact there. They lost 3 seconds to the car behind. And yeah, unfortunately, I don't really think that was the smartest maneuver from Leboeuf. He just could have waited to get a good exit out of turn 3 and overtaken the Mercedes, who was suffering from wing damage. Let's see now on the approach to this corner. You can see Fungus goes very wide. Marcel Leboeuf has to correct a loss of grip, and Alabama, who was last place in the opening lap, just goes and says thank you very much, gets himself through. And Marcel Leboeuf is going to be very opportunistic there, in fact, and is going to take advantage of that and get up to P10. Fungus goes to the pits yet to let everyone through because he understeered. I'm pretty sure he tried to hug the inside to signalize that he was going to the pits, but the understeeriness caused by the lack of front wing efficiency made him not get the best line through there, lose even more time. Back to, no, I was going to say back to the front, but no, there's still a battle as Marcel is battling once again for 8th place, this time, sorry, 9th place, this time around is with Alabama, and Marcel Leboeuf looks like he got the best end of the deal at the moment. CJ Fungus just chuck on a set of soft tires and are going maybe to the end on those. Let's see how that goes, maybe going on softs and then ultra softs at the end. There's still the possibility of rain at the end of the race, so maybe these guys can all go to intermediates. Let's see how it goes. Stopping Floppy gets a 3-second time penalty for exceeding track limits, so he has been pushing, trying to catch up to Recycle Finn, but looks like the Toro Rosso driver, the Finn driver from the Toro Rosso, has been more composed in these opening stages. Of course, probably he has a couple warnings of his own, but Sloppy Floppy is the first driver of the race to get a 3-second time penalty for exploration of the track limits. Now we have still Sloppy within a second of Recycle Finish. You have a great camera shot there from the helicopter, which is pretty nice to look at, but yeah, Sloppy Floppy at the moment doesn't really have what it takes to get by Recycle Finn. Now, down the order, taking a look, we have Swiffer on the back of Calipos. Through this middle sector, it's not going to be the best spot for overtaking unless someone makes a mistake, but let's keep an eye on these two for the DRS zones. Alabama is still battling it out with Marcel Leboeuf. I think they just had another exchange, but Marcel is just trying to get his pace on now and trying to catch up to the people who are going to be pitting as they started on the Ultrasofts. He's 5 seconds away from Elton and Weasley, as we have Swiffer and Calipos, as Calipos goes wide. I don't know if they went side by side through the last two corners, but Calipos goes wide and Swiffer gets himself in the top 4. Yes, in the top 4. He gets himself up to P4. So, yeah, that was not the greatest moment of the Dutch driver of the Ferrari, unfortunately, but that's how it goes. He's going to have to recompose himself. At least he didn't get any damage. If there was contact, at least there was not damage for the Ferrari, so hopefully he can regain his composure and keep going. Going to take a look at Weasley, as he's on the back of Vane. DRS wide open, but it's not enough to close in on the Turkish driver on that black and yellow Renault, so he's going to have to try again in a future lap. Going down once again to Alabama is half a second behind Marcel, so despite having softer tires, the tires are probably going off. The tire wear is probably very high at the moment, especially considering Alabama got involved in an off-track excursion in the opening laps of the race, so hopefully he's suffering, not hopefully, but probably is suffering a bit from his tires, and at the moment is going to just have to stay put, try to keep himself in the slipstream and try to keep up with Marcel Leboeuf as he can try to get a bit extra performance through the DRS and the slipstream of the car in front. We have Kosha coming to the pits. The Skull gets a 3-second time penalty for exceeding the track limits. Kosha is coming out of the pits with another set of Ultrasofts. That is an interesting strategy. Is he going on a twist stopper? Might he be going Yeah, he might be going on a two-stopper. Ultra super. But I don't know if that's enough. Maybe he has to go ultra super, or ultra super ultra, or maybe just ultra and then soft. Maybe he's just not very confident on his tire wear on the softs and feels the need to do a second stint on the ultra softs. That's going to help him in terms of pace, especially if he gets clean air. But that's how it goes. As we have yellow flags through sectors 2 and sector 3, as Recycle Finn is off the track. And I'm sure he's going to the pits now. Yes, he's going to the pits. That was a very unfortunate moment from the championship leader and race leader up until that point. As we also had another issue with some other driver, but we didn't really get to see that. Grosjean with a 3-second time penalty, unfortunately for the Ferrari driver. He was trying to get himself, he was pushing most likely, and he's getting stuck in the pits. No, that was just lag for me, okay. Fortunately, the driver of the Toro Rosso gets himself out of the pits. He's going to get himself in P7, just over 4 seconds away from Grosjean in front of him. Probably Grosjean will pull off a little bit because he has the softer compound. So yeah, Finn is going to have all the clean air that he needs to get himself some good laps and try to get further away from Sloppy McFloppy. Of course, the Sauber driver is going to get himself in the pits soon, and he didn't have that moment out of turn 8, right? So it's going to be interesting. Sloppy McFloppy gets himself a 3-second time penalty, which that one I'm going to claim as a bit of a mistake from the game. I don't think he corner cut anything, he just came in for the pits. So yeah, maybe the stewards are going to remove that one. As Svein gets a 5-second stop and go penalty for spinning in the pit lane. Wow, that's very unfortunate from the Turkish driver of the Renault, as McFloppy is going to get out there on a set of softs, despite the graphics showing me the mechanics getting a set of super softs on the car. So GG Codemasters, GG. He's going to come out ahead of Recycle Finn by 4 seconds. So Recycle Finn, yes, he has the fact that Sloppy has a 3-second time penalty already to his name, but Recycle needs to gain time on the American driver, needs to get within those 3 seconds to be able to benefit from that. We have some other changes, as we have Grosjean battling it out with Marcel Leboeuf, as Grosjean got past the Renault to P2. Of course, this guy, since Grosjean is going to have to pit again. So we're going to take a look at the order. We have Elton very, very close to Skull, so it's a battle between the Haas and the Mercedes, and there's contact. That's Calipos into the back of Elton, and I would say that Elton moved in the braking zone, and probably Calipos wasn't expecting that. There's a couple, maybe not, maybe that's a glitch, but I definitely saw some carbon fiber, so maybe it wasn't Calipos getting contact, as there's some issues with Calipos, and nah, it doesn't show to me, but he's obviously having issues with his cars. He goes very wide through corner number 9, forced Alabama wide off the track, and it's going to be 3 wide as Fungus gets the better exit out of those 3, and it's going to be 3 wide into turn 1. Calipos just backs off from the move. There's contact though between the McLaren and the Mercedes. Calipos gets the better exit now, but let's see how it goes. He's going to have DRS on both the Mercedes and the McLaren. I believe the McLaren is going to get DRS himself, as we have also a battle from Skull and Elton. It's all very tight up ahead, as we have the Mercedes trying to get a run on the Haas, and Alabama man just taking the best seat in the house from this battle, trying to pick up any pieces. He tried to get a better exit, but Skull just had a bit of a slowdown moment there through the exit, and he couldn't jump both of them. Oh my god, Skull was very slow. There was contact, a bit of an oversteering moment from Alabama. Bad exit. It was props to him for being able to catch the car, but this has been quite chaotic as Grosjean gets another 3-second time penalty. I'm going to jump to Calipos in the back of this train, as I'm sure he just wants to get himself composed. Fungus has to avoid the back of Elton, cuts the last corner, got himself a 3-second time penalty. Alabama gets a better exit. Let's see how this develops, as we have Skull and Disley still going at it. Skull gets past, sorry, not Weasley, Skull and Elton, as Diaz gets past up to P8. We are going to get up through the gears once again. DRS wide open. Let's use the last of the late breakers. We are getting ourselves... No, that's not the best camera I wanted. I wanted the overhead one from the helicopter. We couldn't get that one, unfortunately. Elton gets himself ahead of Skull. Fungus and Skull are going to add DRS on the Mercedes. It might be too wide. Calipos looks like he's not going to dive on the inside of the McLaren. So it's going to be interesting to see how all this battle is going to pave out until the end of the stints. Lots of time lost with all this battling as Calipos tries to have a go around the outside of the McLaren. The McLaren says, "You shall not pass," and he maintains P10 at the moment. Skull with not the best moment at the exit of corner number 8. Let's see, will Alabama have a go at the inside? It's going to be tight, but he makes through. He squeezes Skull to the outside. Calipos is going to try and make an opportunistic maneuver down the inside, but his wing damage forced him wide, and Skull is going to be able to retake 11th place from the Dutchman. Alabama got Elton on the exits of the last corner, aided by DRS, of course, got himself up to P9. Let's see if he can now chase down Fungus to be the leader of this group. Let's see, is he going to get... No, he's too far away into turn number 3. He's going to hopefully get a good exit. Let's see how it goes. Elton is already getting defensive. He's swerving left, he's swerving right, trying to deny some advantage from the slipstream that he might be giving the McLaren behind him, and the McLaren couldn't do anything about that. So jumping to Elton, looks like this train has finally behaved themselves, as Skull lost a couple car lengths to Calipos. Elton also lost a couple car lengths to Alabama, so it's 2 by 2, and then Skull a couple car lengths behind, a bit lonely in 12th place. So it looks like things calmed down a little bit more, so it's going to be interesting to see how this develops. Of course, people are going to get DRS and all that throughout the laps. So, and of course, people are on different tire strategies. Let's take a look. I think all of these cars, so it is... Saxy Tundra gets a 3-second time penalty. Unfortunately, his bad day is just turning worse. He's currently in last place, 2.5 seconds behind the closest car to him. So I saw that develops as we have a change of positions. I believe it's Alabama going on the inside of Fungus on the exit. Let's see who gets DRS. It is the McLaren getting DRS. Let's see, it's now a drag race down into turn number 4. Let's see, braking at 100 meter more. There was almost contact there on the braking zone as Alabama got a bit too close to the Mercedes for my comfort, but both went through unscathed as Alabama got a bit too deep into the corners. He was trying to go defensive into turn number 5, I believe that is, yes, corner number 5, and he's going to be able to defend 8th place. Fungus is now under pressure from Elton as I'm going to jump to Calipos on board. As Fungus is going to, of course, he's going to get DRS on the McLaren, and Elton is going to get DRS on him. Calipos has a stronger force, has a stronger slipstream though, because he is closer to the Mercedes. Everyone exploring the track limits a bit too much. Calipos gets himself a 3-second time penalty for that off-track excursion, adding a slap on the wrist. I believe that's his second penalty in this race. Fungus goes at it once again. Elton goes wide. Calipos says thank you very much, claims himself P10, but we're going to take a look at Fungus and Alabama as they are going down into turn number 4. Let's see how it goes. No, sorry, by the way, I picked up the wrong Mercedes. I'm sorry about that. But yeah, Fungus couldn't get a look at Alabama. So once again, things have normalized, at least until the next DRS zone. That's where I feel like everything kicks loose, is the DRS zone. Lots of screen moments, screen time for that quartet. I could say that, I believe. So we are going to get ourselves to another battle. It's going to be Swiffer on 3 laps old Ultra Softs, catching up to Vane on 6 laps old Super Softs. This is going to be an interesting one. Of course, Swiffer is going to be quicker, not talking about talent, but just in the pace from the car, right? And the tires is going to be very close to Vane, and let's see how it develops through the next DRS zone. Alabama got jumped by Fungus on the run down into turn number 3. It's going to be DRS wide open once again on the back of that McLaren. Is he going to be able to come down at the British driver of the Mercedes? No, he's not. He's going to have to stay content with P9 at the moment and is going to have to wait for the next DRS zone to potentially make any moves work. Jumping back to Vane and Swiffer. Swiffer got the DRS, but of course he wasn't really going to risk any moves into turn 1. Recycle Finn, this is crucial for the race. It was Sloppy McFloppy, the net leader of the race, getting a 3-second time penalty, but now Finn evening up the playing field with a 3-second time penalty of his own as Vane is forced to defend around the outside. Swiffer just steps a go later into the brakes, better tires, fresher tires, and gets himself up to P5. Vane is going to take the DRS, trying to still be on the back of that Sauber, as he's going to try to make the best out of that bad situation. He just got overtaken, but hopefully he can keep himself on the slipstream of the German driver and get himself slipstream, get himself the DRS, and keep a competitive race pace compared to the ones on the Ultra Softs. Let's see if Swiffer pulls away too quickly for his liking or not. Hey Flywings, hey Rick, welcome to the live stream. How are you doing? Just greeting people in chat for those of you that are not in chat here today. We are going to take a look ourselves at Vane. No, it's Kosia in the pits again. So Kosia, he did ultra super soft stint. And I'm not sure if he's going to be able to take those tires until the end. He might go back on the ultra softs later on. So yeah, that might be a three stopper for the Lithuanian driver, unfortunately for him. But yeah, we have jumping further on the pack. We have Marcel above. He's been able to keep up with Recycle Finn, which is great for him in terms of pace. Of course, Marcel has not pitted yet, but he has kept his nose out of trouble. I don't believe he has been involved in 2 or 3 battles, but he is not really getting himself in too much trouble. So he's been consistent. He gets himself in P3. He's been getting DRS off of Recycle Finn. And yeah, Recycle Finn though is going to have to be a man on an absolute mission, as Marcel Leboeuf has disconnected. And there he goes, the disconnection from Marcel Leboeuf. This man can't go throughout the race without a disconnection. He disconnected. Hopefully he can get back soon, because I want to see this man do well. Because yeah, let's see. He didn't get the disconnection in this race so far, so I guess yeah, he just joined. But yeah, I guess that's his good luck charm, his disconnections. Last time he disconnected only once, got 7th. When he disconnects twice, he gets P3. He only disconnected once so far. He's still in P4, but he's going to drop down. He still has to pit one more time. So let's see how that develops for him. But Swiffer just jumped Marcel Leboeuf as the German progresses into the top 3. But yeah, you can see the gap between Recycle Finn and Sloppy McFloppy is just over 4.5 seconds. Both of them have a 3-second time penalty. Recycle Finn bottled it on his opening stint. He lost the rear at the exit of the corner number 8. He lost a massive amount of time to the driver from USA, and he really needs to push it to get back, as we have Marcel Leboeuf getting into the pits. He's going to get rid of those soft tires and is going to switch them for a set of super softs, I would say. I don't believe the ultra softs are fit for 15 laps of racing. So yeah, there he goes, the super softs fitted on that Renault, and off he goes. He's going to come out in P6, maybe P7, depends on Vane. Vane also gets into the pits. This is a bit of a strategic misplay, but looks like he had damage, so he had to come into the pits. He's going to get held up. I also believe he had a 5-second stop and go penalty from the previous pit stop. He infringed the speed limit, so that's a bad pit stop going to worst. As on top of that, he has to replace his front wing. He's going to come out of the pits in at least 12th place, which is not ideal, but I know that he has the talent to get himself still a solid solid top 10 finish. Now, moving to another battle that perhaps might be developing, we have Alabama just over a second on Fungus. These guys, there was a 5-group car that later on developed into a 4-group car, but Alabama has had his fair share of battling here today, so it's going to be interesting to see. I obviously cannot tell if he has damage or not, at least from these shots that we are having from the front of his McLaren. It doesn't look to me like he has any damage, but maybe that might just be a virtual glitch for me, and he might actually be suffering from a deficiency in his front wing effectiveness, and that's why Fungus is pulling away. That might be a reason. Of course, Fungus might just be more comfortable on his space on the softs rather. So yeah, looks like Fungus is just gained 3/10 over the last lap. Alabama has fresher tires, but is not really making that wear advantage work for him at the moment. So getting ourselves through the people that have pitted. Let me get myself through the stop. So as you guys can see, we have Sloppy McFloppy, Recycle Finn, Swiffer. All the top 3 have only pitted once. Kosia has pitted twice. And then we have Vane and Daxi Tundra as the other 2 drivers that have pitted more than once so far this race. I do believe Kosia is going on a 3-stopper, unless he really extends his super softs. I do believe there might be an extra pit stop from the leaders. I'm not sure. I'm really not sure. They pitted quite early, I believe, on their ultra soft stints, so it's going to be interesting to see. Recycle Finn pitted at least 1 lap earlier, so Recycle Finn's, of course, he has to try and catch up to Sloppy, but Recycle also has worse tires, depending on the tire usage for both drivers, but I would say he pitted first. I would say he has worse tires at the moment on his Toro Rosso. Scanning down the order and looking at the gaps between each other, we have Kosia now coming back at Swiffer as he gets rid of a back marker. I would say that is Taxi Tundra down in 13th, who hasn't had the greatest race so far for him, as the Frenchman just got lapped by the Ferrari. But yeah, Swiffer a couple laps ago overtook Kosia, I would say. I think it was Kosia, to get himself in the top 3. I guess Kosia now is going to just return the favor and get himself up to the podium paying positions. I'm not sure if Kosia still has to... Yes, he's on his 5th lap. Is he going to do 17 laps on super softs? He might, but he's going to have to be very careful on those for the rubber to not completely give up on him. As he's rather close to Swiffer, he gets a better exit out of turn 6, and as they go side by side through 7 and 8, and a very clean maneuver, great clean racing from both these drivers. And Swiffer is not too worried at the moment, I would say. He's going to get DRS into turn 1 and into turn 2, and it might also be rain. Yes, it is rain. Yeah, it has really snuck up on us. The skies have darkened a lot, and it is now raining over these Austrian circuits. It's going to be interesting. We have more or less 10 laps to go, and it might be a rush for the intermediate compound of tires. Swiffer, despite having the DRS, is only keeping up with Kosia. He's not really challenging him. So yes, it's going to be very, very interesting to see how it develops into the rain. When it's going to, how hard is it coming down? Looks like to me as it is only light rain at the moment. But you never know with this game. It might take 10 laps to go into the pits for intermediates. It might take 3 laps. I'm pretty sure we are going to find out soon. So let's take it on board with Swiffer, who's lost massive lengths. Oh no, let's take a look at Marcel Leboeuf, who just went by Weasley. As you guys can see, Weasley is finishing the race on a set of softs. Marcel Leboeuf just pitted recently for a set of super softs, and he is pushing. He's 16 seconds behind Swiffer, so I think a top 4 is out of the cards for him, but he's definitely on pace for a respectable top 5 finish. So he had some yellow flags through sectors 2 and 3. Didn't really see any changes of positions, so I don't really know who got involved or who caused those yellow flags. Now we are going to take a look on board with Marcel Leboeuf, just to take a look at the rain And yeah, it doesn't look like the rain is too strong. The cars are not all that wet, so yeah, it's just light rain at the moment. It might not even go for intermediates, but the rain does intensify on the approach to turn number 3. The rain might get harder because the rain definitely intensifies on the run down into turn 3. So yeah, again, we are going to have to wait and see, and hopefully it's just going to spice things up. Eka, welcome to the live stream. How are you doing? Welcome to the stream. So yeah, guys, who do you guys believe is going to win? Oh my god! I only now noticed Scotia gets a 3-second time penalty once again, so Swiffer might actually, just by the penalties, Swiffer might get that top 3 at the end of the race. But Sloppy Mafloppy might have caused one of those yellow flags earlier, getting caught out by the lack of grip caused by the rain, because Recycle Fin gained 4 seconds on the American driver and is through to first place! Recycle Fin is up to first place and is now leading the race after a disastrous moment at the end of his first stint. I'm really going to try and take a look. Yes, Sloppy Mafloppy has wing damage, or maybe it's just because the wing is entirely black. No, okay, that was just me being blind. He does not have wing damage, at least not to me. He might actually have it, but just not be visible to me. But he's really losing to Recycle Fin, so either Recycle is much more comfortable under these conditions, or Sloppy really has front wing damage, or is just struggling overall, as everyone is pitting onto intermediate tires. Alabama, Calipos, Elton, Bottas are all on intermediates. Vane is going to switch to intermediate soon, I suppose. Recycle Fin and Sloppy Mafloppy are going to get themselves some of those green walled rubber. Let's see. Oh boy, and Recycle Fin gets a 5-second stop and go penalty. This man, it looks like he doesn't want to win the race. Every single time he gets the lead, he has found a way to dispose of it. So let's see how that goes. I guess Recycle Fin just jumped Sloppy on the pits. There it is. And now it's going to be a battle of who's more comfortable on the intermediates, who's smoother on the power, who's smoother on the brakes, who's smoother overall on their driving technique, who can take advantage of that taxi Tundra, also getting a 5-second stop and go penalty for exceeding the speed limit. And yeah, as you guys can see, Recycle Fin already pulled away massively from Sloppy. Maybe Sloppy didn't practice too much in the rain. Recycle Fin has to pull away by 5 seconds. It's going to be interesting to see, as Alabama gets a 3-second time penalty of his own. Both Weasley and Fungus are in the pits, getting rid of their soft tires for the intermediates. And Kosha got himself in P3, so he jumped Swiffer somewhere along the way. Calipos got himself up to P7. Magnets is in the pits. I'm guessing he's changing as well for the intermediate compound on his tires. But yeah, this is going to be... It's going to be quite heartbreaking for Recycle Fin that he got himself a 5-second stop and go penalty for exceeding the speed lane limits, but he's already done off the job. He's 2 seconds away from the American driver of the Sauber. He's 2.5 seconds away from the win. He just needs 2.5 more seconds. Well, 2.7 seconds, but yeah, he just needs to gain that, and he's going to get himself the championship, the win of this race. As we have another set of yellow flags in the third sector. No idea why. Didn't see really any changes of positions. Maybe Taxi Tundra, but he's already, yeah, he's really out of contention for anything in this race. Going to take a look down the order. Doesn't look like anyone is close to anyone at the moment. So it's really going to be a matter of who has most resources, who has saved more fuel, who has saved more ERS, and who's more practiced on the wet weather, who's more familiar with wet weather, whose car responds better to these changeable conditions. And yeah, it's going to be very, very interesting to see. It looks Recycle Fin lost a couple tenths in the previous lap, but is now gaining. The gap is just over, well, at the moment it's exactly 2.8 seconds. So yeah, Recycle Fin has 6 laps to go to get himself 5 seconds on Sloppy. Is he gaining at big enough of a rate? That's what we are here to find out. Going down to the battle, possible battle between these two Mercedes Fungus. And yeah, the rain has really intensified. As you guys can see, it is heavy rain, I believe, at the moment. They might jump to wet in a moment if we are not careful. Elton is, speaking of not being careful, is really struggling on those intermediates of his under these conditions. These are two teammates. Oh boy, that could have been damage from fungus. And yeah, like sometimes when you are just side by side with your teammates like that, just let them go. Fungus has been clearly quicker than the Norway driver, or from the driver from Norway, that's Elton. So yeah, Fungus is just going to get away. He's already pulled almost a second on his teammate and is obviously faster. Of course, he's 8 seconds away from the closest car ahead of him. So looks like it's going to be, unless there are some issues with anyone, it's all on the cards for a 8-9 finish for the Brackley-based team. Moving up in the order a little bit, we are going to take a look at Swiffer, who he has been catching up. He has been catching up with as Kosha gets a third 3-second time penalty. Kosha, oh my god, man, you might actually drop out of the top 5. Well, not of the top 5, but Kosha might get from 3rd to 5th with all those penalties. I believe it's a 9 seconds that he already has. I believe he already has 9 seconds of penalties, all summed up. And the gap between him and 5th place is only 7 seconds. So at this rate, Kosha might drop to P5 despite finishing the race in P3 in terms of drag position. Now, but yeah, speaking of Swifter, he has not really been gaining on Kosha. Looks like they are on similar pace at the moment. So yeah, that's going to be interesting to see how that develops until the end of the race. Of course, these 3rd and 4th place are miles away from the top 2. Sloppy McFloppy has found some pace in the last couple laps, unless Recycle Fin was just held up by back markers. But Recycle Fin lost a second in the last lap, and I really do believe that was the final nail in the coffin for Recycle Fin's chances at a win here today. He's going to have to work very hard if he wants to get 3 seconds in the next 4 laps. And Sloppy McFloppy is the defending champion. He just can get himself concentrated and go on his zone and be monstrously quick. So yeah, it just needs to get himself focused, keep his pace, mind his business, just focus on the next corner, get his apexes, smooth on the power on the exit so no issues happen with the rear end, and he is probably on his way to the first win on this championship. Moving down to Elton, who got overtaken by Weasley. I didn't even notice that one. When did that happen? But yeah, Elton's pace is very bad in the intermediates, unfortunately for him. Vane, I was expecting from him to already be in the top 10, so I don't know if he got held up by someone, as Vane gets himself a 3-second time penalty for exceeding the track limits. Of course, it's very tricky to get through there in the dry without getting any warnings, let alone on the wet, but the Turkish driver is still to gain himself a spot in the top 10. Elton is struggling a lot under these conditions, so this might be it. Vane looks like he got a better exit. We are going, of course, no DRS at this point. It's all about who has better fuel, better ERS, and better traction. And Vane gets himself very clean maneuver up to P10, and Elton went from 8th to 11th in a matter of laps. So unfortunately, looks like Elton didn't really practice too much his pace in the wet. Moving to the gap from the lead, both Sloppy and Recycle are pulling away from Kosha, but you guys can see the gap hasn't grown too much. Recycle Fin is quicker, but doesn't look like he's quick enough. So yeah, I'm sorry all of you fans of Recycle Fin, but at the moment he's really on a uphill battle to get himself 5 seconds away from Sloppy. Let's see how it develops until the end. Everyone can still make mistakes. As soon as I say that, Sloppy McFloppy goes wide in the last corner. Of course, that's not really a mistake that costs you the biggest amount of time, and McFloppy has time to work with. He just has to focus. Oh my god! I don't know if that was a lag moment or if he actually lost the rear there. It just has to not extend the track limits, because if he gets another 3-second time penalty, I believe Recycle Fin wins, because a 3-second time penalty will get him 3.5 seconds away from Recycle. So yeah, currently Recycle Fin altogether has 8 seconds of penalties. Sloppy McFloppy only has 8. So if he got another, Sloppy McFloppy only has 3. So if he got another penalty, it will be 6 seconds of penalties, and Recycle would only need to be with a gap of 2 seconds to win the race. So Sloppy really has to be careful, without losing too much time to Recycle Fin. He has to get himself within that gap. So yeah, he just has to stay composed. Let's take a look now, as we are about to start the second last lap of the race. Yeah, quite wide there from both drivers. They are really pushing, and it looks like Recycle lost once again a couple tenths to the American driver. Now, scanning the pack once again, yeah, there's not really much happening at the moment. Everyone is at least, like, the smallest gap we have at the moment is Swiffer, who's 1.7 seconds behind the closest car in front of him. And he doesn't even need to push that hard. Koshia has 9 seconds of penalties. So, yeah, Koshia might even finish outside, not outside of the top 5, but in 5th. Because Swiffer has been closing in on Koshia, but Marcel Leboeuf has been closing in on Swiffer. So, Leboeuf is currently quicker than both Swiffer and Koshia. If we had a couple more laps on this race, it would have been rather interesting to see how that battle for P3 would last, or would develop. But yeah, we only have 36 laps on this circuit, unfortunately for the Canadian driver, who still is on a very respectable 5th place despite his disconnection in this race. At least he didn't disconnect within the first 5 laps. He disconnected in like the 18th lap, something along those lines. But yeah, we're going to jump to Recycle Fin. He's lost even more time. 1.4 seconds is now the gap between the Toro Rosso driver and the Sauber behind him. So yeah, I think this is in the bag. We're really just waiting for everyone to cross the line. We also have in the distance, from Recycle Fin's perspective, we have the Mercedes of, I would say, Elton, about to get lapped once again. Just getting himself... Oh, well, that was maybe a big mistake from McFloppy, because he just lost over a second there. That was quite... yeah. It's just a little bit too late, though, for Recycles. It's already entering the last sector of the race. And yes, it was Elton in front of him, as he lets the leaders get by him. And there you have it. It's going to take this race to a conclusion, as Recycle Fin is going to cross over the line in first place at this Grand Prix, but Stoffel McFloppy is going to get himself past the line and is not going to win. Recycle Fin is actually the winner of the Canadian Grand Prix. What happened? Stoffel McFloppy, I have no idea what happened there. I really thought Stopping McFloppy would take the win, but no, it's Recycle Fins at the moment. So he takes the win of this Grand Prix. Koshia gets himself in P3, but look him drop down the order. There goes Swiffer and Marcel Leboeuf, pushing Koshia down to 5th place. So it's Recycle Fin with the win of this Austrian Grand Prix. What an amazing job from him. I really thought he was done by that pit entry penalty. But, well, that's how it goes. We have Floppy in P2, Swiffer P3, so a 2-3. I'm sorry, Lucas. Yeah, I know. I just had Canada in my mind for some reason. But, yeah. So we have Koshia in 5th, Alabama in 6th, Galipos in 7th. Fungus in front of Weasley as they are 8th and 9th. Vane gets himself 9th place as Weasley had a couple of penalties. Elton finished, Bottas finished, and now it's the second Haas of Skull who gets himself at the end in 13th place. So yeah, I'm really sorry, but yeah, I got I don't know how I got that twisted with Canada and oh well, whatever. I'm sorry guys, I just guessed the title didn't change. I didn't save the changes or whatever. I apologize for that one, but yeah, that's how you have it. Recycle Finn gets back on the winning column. He won every single race he finished in this season. He won in Australia, he won at Spain, DNF'd at Canada, and he took a win today at Austria. And there you have it, as the champagne goes over the drivers' heads. It's a 2-3 finish for the Sauber team, which is always great to see as well. Very, very good consistency from the Alfa Romeo team. Apart from Swiffer's 5th place at Canada, the Alfa Romeos have always been on the podium. Because even when Swiffer was in 5th at Canada, Sloppy McFloppy was in 2nd. So in every single race, we've had at least one of the Sauber drivers on the podium so far. So yeah, very, very competitive is that Alfa Romeo team. So everything is going to get completed. I'm just waiting for didn't the Sauber have a false 3-second penalty? I don't know. Apparently Sloppy McFloppy had 9 seconds of penalties. I didn't know that. I only thought Sloppy had 1 penalty. Apparently he had 3. And I missed all of those. I apologize. I guess I'm a good commentator. But yeah. So there you have it. It's Recycle Finn taking the win. And the points home as Sloppy McFloppy is in P2, Swiffer behind his teammate in P3, Marcel above despite disconnecting, still finishes in 4th, one of the only drivers to not have any penalties today. We have Kosia in P5, Alabama in 6th, Calipos in 7th, Fungus in 8th, Vane 9th, and Weasley closes the top 10, as we have Elton, Bottas, Skull, Taxi Tundra, and Magnet closing out the pack. No DNFs today, which is great. So this is it, guys, for today. Hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, give me a like button. If you did not, the dislike button is as always right beside it. Subscribe if you'd like to see more. Hit the bell icon for any notifications of whenever I'm about to start a live stream or to post a video. Hope to see you guys next time and have a wonderful day. Goodbye.